Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of May 19th through the 23rd. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from May 12th through the 16th, and update my chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Rivn. We ended the week at $15.81, up 3.33%. To the north side from where we are takes us to 2 standard deviations, and that is roughly $16.10. That is resistance and a possible take profit area. Above that, 1632, and should we be so lucky as to get to this level, that is 1653, but don't anticipate this move on Monday, but within -2 and 2 standard deviations all day long. Now to the south side, 1566 is the baseline and one level of support and a potential buy-in area. If we go down, I will anticipate a bounce off of this line because that is support. And -2 standard deviations is 1523, -3 SD 1501, and -4 standard deviations takes us to $14.80. Ignore this white line. That is a previous price target that we have already met, according to the analysts. Now, looking left, you can see right here the clear bounce at 2 standard deviations, as well as in this area here and here. This is a potential buy zone. This is a potential sell zone. This gap closed out. Speaking of gaps, this gap closed out on Wednesday. It opened up at the beginning of the week on Monday. So congrats if you played it to the short side, taking us down to 1436. And like I said, this gap closed and that took us up to 1487. And now we have a gap to the south side. And if we break through this line, this is another target area. And we could bounce off of this gap, which would be support from where we are right now. And we never quite hit this line, but sometimes we don't. And then we start falling down, and make sure you watch your RSI as well. This is starting to, it appears, curve back up again. And the next target to the upside that we can look forward to is a gap that will take us to 17, 47. It starts at 1690. And last week, we began the week at 1426 and ended at 1581. So congrats if you played it to the long side there. And for the end of the week, the middle of the trend could land us at 1705, and 2 standard deviations by the end of the week could take us to 1750, and that would close out that gap easily. And we are still in an upward channel on the 5. And the next one is NEO. Ignore all the horizontal lines. The purple lines are previous middle of the trend lines that now turn into support or resistance. And the yellow horizontal lines are from 2024, but I just keep it there. I can delete it all. It makes no difference to me. But you can sometimes see that there is a bounce or play off of those lines. Just like we ended right here at the end of Friday there. All right, let's give you some price targets for resistance, potential take profit area, potential sell limit, 412, 417, 422 to the south side, 403, 393, 388, and don't hold your breath for a price to get to this level in one day, 383, or on Monday, I should say. But if we wick down there, you can bet it will get eaten up alive and people will buy in because it would be a dip buy. And we have gaps to watch out for. that are still in play to the south side, landmines that will take us out, or you can go short. And let's take a look at the gaps. This gap did not touch. It is still in play to the upside. It will take us out at Command Z. It will take us out at 411. So something to look forward to. And I think we could definitely hit that on Monday. Just a quick bounce up and then falling down because we are in a downward channel with NEO. What else happened? This gap right here that hit at a previous middle of the trend line is still in play to the south side. That will take us down to $4. And then other gaps below. And what about this monster gap? We gapped up, so we can anticipate it to fill to the downside. Oh, and it did. Right, yeah, I'm gonna give that a touch to the downside at 398. Delete, no longer a threat. This one is still in play. Okay, let me clean up this one. That was a tiny one, and that should be cleaned up because that touched on Wednesday the 14th. It opened and closed on the same day, taking us down to 413. This gap closed, and this one also closed out of the gate on Monday. Okay, that took us all the way up to 422, went up even more. This is resistance, close enough, starts to crater down. This line turns into support, and we saw a bounce. And then look at this. This is a gap, and look at how many times price churned along this line and then hit this line again for resistance and fell back down. The gaps will act as support and resistance as well. There are many levels of support and resistance within -2 and 2 standard deviations and above and below. But if you just play it within those levels, channels, it's pretty safe. And that is all cleaned up. So the next gap to the upside. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta clean that up. But there's a gap up here that will take us to 446. But let me check out what happened here. Okay, so this gap is done. So we gapped down and we filled right here on the 15th. Oh, it was a one-day gap, so we gapped down. And then we anticipate a fill, and it just so happened to fill. Wait a minute. I'm using this as a, hold on a second. Oh yeah, that touched. All right, that. Oh, now that is right. Wait a second here. Actually, no, that is not a gap fill. There's a potential to close it out right here. Okay, sorry about that. I digress. And what else, I guess? Oh, we started last week here. We went up and then gave it back. Excuse me, I still have that cough. My goodness. Okay, so the high from here to this high was a return of 6%, but here we're at 3%. Not too shabby either way. Alrighty, what else? Oh, this one needs to be cleaned up. That closed right there to the upside at 397. And does anything else look odd? No, I think we are good. Okay. And let's go. I was just checking out the chart here, scanning to see if there's anything else that needs to be cleaned up. All right. This is Sofi. We ended the week at 1392, up 2.58%. To the north side, resistance 1403, 1423, and 1444. The middle of the trend takes us to 1361, 1320, 1299, and 1278. Looking left, at the beginning of the week, we gapped up, which means eventually we will gap to the south side, filling this. We have no idea when. We're just going to extend the box until it does. But right now, we are in a downward channel, and on Monday, this could potentially touch. We'll see, or it might take a couple days to fill. So that will take us down to 1320. And this gap that I marked out closed. Oh, no, wait, it didn't close there. I thought it closed right here, and it did not. Touched right there. Taking us down to 1405. Congrats if you went short. And this gap was just a small one, and it closed on the same day, taking us down to 1434. I'm going to get a drink of water here. Okay. And I think that is it for, oh, we have a gap. Oh, we have several gaps to the south side here. Ignore all the horizontal lines. I could delete them, as I mentioned, but I'm not going to just yet. Eventually I will. So that is it for Sofi. Our 1 year price target is, oh, well, we hit it. So now the analysts are saying there's a downside potential to 1370. What did we end at? 1392. Of course, we're going to get to 1370. So the potential to the upside is $20, and then the low range, $6. I highly doubt that we'll get to there, but you never know. And if it does, that would be another potential buying opportunity on a company that is now worth $15 billion. I would be buying that. And I am in this trade. I'm down on some shares and up on others. Okay, let's go to the next one. I'm going to speed this up here. Estee Lauder, we ended the day at 65.17, up 2.36%. Resistance to an area we've been before, 65.84, 66.59, 67.33. The middle of the trend is now here. Okay, and resistance, support, 62.82, 62.08, 61.31. Looking left, this gap opened up on Monday, the 12th, still in play. That will take us down to $61.06, some change. This gap already closed. This gap also closed right there on Friday, so congrats if you went long. 65.43. And then we have this doozy that will eventually take us to 68.62, but we are still in a downward channel. Command Z to undo something you don't want done. Okay, that's clean looking now, and we've got another gap to $77 there, but we're not in that channel, not in the zone, not even close. Okay, we've got a gap to the south side that will eventually take us down to roughly 54.49-ish. I'll just extend that. I have no idea when it's going to touch. And last week we started at $60.90. We made it all the way up to 67, gave it back, ended at 65.17, but still an upward momentum there, upward price movement. Okay, that is good enough. So by the end of the week, we could end at 63.70, 62.28, and even 60.76. Very close to where we are now, because this is slowly going down, but not a steep decline here. So we could be leveling out, and hopefully if we chop sideways and chop along this line, that would be great. Where was the middle of the trend last week? Okay. Tsly in a downward channel for the week. Not a steep one, but still in a decline there. Okay. 924 is where we ended, up 2.10%. 957, 984, 1010. The middle of the trend is now here, and it's so close to this one that I marked out from the previous week. 894, we went all the way up here and then gave it back. All right, so we didn't make much movement where we started and then now where we're ending. Okay, 852, 827, and roughly 801, which would kiss this gap to the downside. Oops. And then this other one. All right, what else? So this gap here is still in play to the downside, as well as this one. So I think this will close out to the downside. So that would be a potential buying in area for people who are trying to get in or dollar cost average. And then we've got this gap to the north side. I don't know if we could touch that. I don't know if we can close that, but if we wick all the way up there, fingers crossed, that would be lovely. Did I already give you the price target? I think I already did. Here's the outer 10. Oh yeah, 1010, and then I did say that. 826 for the outer band. Oh no, sorry, down here. Okay. I'm all over the place today. All right, this gap closed on Thursday. That took us down to 897. No longer a threat to the south side. This tiny, excuse me, this closed right here to the downside. And that took us to 962. Okay, oh, and this gap touched right out of the gate. Congrats if you, oh shoot. Okay, I need to move that out of the way. Oh my goodness, where is the middle? Ah, there it is. Okay, hold on. Okay. So this gap touched right out of the gate on Monday, and that was in play since taking us up to 930. And how long? That opened up on March 6th, and finally for up to 930. Let me just delete this while I'm here. Delete. Oops, nope. Delete. Congrats. So that closed on May. That was, when did I say March? What? March, April, May. Okay, so 2 months plus. Wow. Finally closed. Yay. So congrats if you Made some money there, trading that gap. Okay, what about, okay, that one's still in play. I'm going to move my arrow or my cursor off that. Here, I'll delete that one. There's so many. Okay. I think everything else looks pretty clean. Okay, and for this week, all right. For this week, the end of the week, we could be at 764 at -2, and 2 could take us to 869, and the middle of the trend, 816. Let's go on to Nike. Okay, option R. Okay, again, all I'm doing is tracking from here to here for the week. We are in an upward channel, yay. The middle of the trend, not the middle, sorry. This is the middle. We're basically there. Let me mark it out. Okay, resistance takes us back to an area we've been to before at roughly $64, $64.44, and don't hold your breath for price to get there on Monday, but by the end of the week, we could be at $66. That's a potential. All right. If we chop sideways, this could act as support or resistance depending upon where price ends for the day. 62.29, 61.87, and 61.44. Looking left, you can see the clear bounce at support. That was a gift right there to get in, and a run up and a potential sell-off. All right. See, that's resistance, and then it started making its way down. That's to be expected. So this gap opened up on the 12th. This is still in play, so that will be into our upcoming week, as well as this gap that I've marked out, still in play. This tiny gap shouldn't even bother, but I have no idea when it's going to close. But it just was a one-day gap. Yep, took us to 62.34-ish. This gap to the upside at $65 could, if it doesn't touch on Monday, which we could wick up here, by Thursday, it could touch it easily if we continue up. And then watch out for this nice gap to the upside as well. And did I clean? Oops, gosh darn it. Did I clean? No, what is that? What's this? What's this dangler here? Oh yeah, it touched right there on the 9th. Took us down to 58.76. And what happened here? Oh, I just extended it out and it almost hit where I marked it out. How funny. Right there though, on Wednesday. Took us up to 58.53, no longer in play. These lines could act as, if you extended it out, sometimes they hit these lines again. It's very bizarre. All right. This gap touched to the south side right there on the 6th. That took us down to 56.95. So look at this. So right now we're at, oops, where are we? So this week we ended, excuse me, at 63.11. The beginning of the week we're at 58.30. We just chopped sideways here at 58.90. 58.95, 57.62, chopping sideways, and boom, straight up. Okay, the next one, I think that's everything I want to talk about. And if I didn't, I'll clean it up later. Yeah, let's go to Intel. Okay, we're near resistance, but another level would be 21.84, 22.15, 22.44. And this is also an area we've been. You know what I'm going to do before I do that? Let me delete. Okay, this is the middle of the trend. And when did I mark that out? We're just back to an area we've been before. Oh my goodness, look at that. That I marked out on January 25th. So let's go back, Option R. So I'm going to delete this line because it's right where I need the new line to be. So I'm going to delete that and just mark it out right here. So this is going to be support also. I will anticipate a bounce, or we could chop sideways or follow this line down. And then 2067, 2035, and roughly 2006. All right, looking left, what happened here? The beginning of the week. Boy, this week, we sure hit a lot of gaps. Let's talk about, okay, that's done. I guess I marked that out already. All right, this gap, what happened to this gap? All right, this gap will take us down to 2037. All right, and this gap, this teeny one closed, and that touched right there on, excuse me, okay, took us down to 2145. You know, I cough. Oh, no. No. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. It looked like it touched here, but it really didn't. That's a fake out. See? And then it touched actually here where this gap was created. So all is well. I notice I cough more when I talk. So, my goodness. Look at this gap. Okay. And then we've got this gap. Okay. Note the downward channel. So this will touch definitely on Monday. Will it close out? I'm not sure. Got to track it to find out. Check the RSI. That's a big indicator. Draw your trend lines, your EMAs, your Fibonacci, your buy and sell bots, your patterns, your wicks, whatever you like to use. There are so many ways to trade, and you have to trade whatever you are comfortable with because it will not make sense. This will not make sense to the majority of people that are watching this video or checking it out. But that's okay because I trade this way and I love it. I make it nice and easy for myself, and that's what I am all about. Easy peasy. Please tell me this is the last one. Okay, Boeing. We're having a major windstorm again, which is probably why I haven't gotten over this cough, because I have massive allergies and the dust blows like crazy. This season has been horrid. Okay, 205.82. Upward channel, resistance, take profit area, sell limit, possibly. 208.49, 209.80, 211.02. And we're still in a slight upward channel. Oh my gosh. 203.45. The wind gusts are kicking like crazy. 202.20, 291. So we're looking from here to here. There's not much of a movement from the beginning of the week to the end of the week if we slowly chop sideways. All right, what happened here? This close, oh, I just extended it and look, it touched on Monday. So now let me clean that up. That took us to 198.53. Done. Still in play to 198.62. This touched on the 16th of May. Congrats if you went short there. 203, whatever that was, that started, wait, 203.87-ish, and it started at roughly 205.39-ish. This gap touched also on the same day. That took us down to 204.86. Congrats there. And we've got this dangling up above. That is not going to close out this week, most likely. Some other point, possibly. And then we have another gap up there to 222.66. And then we have another landmine to the south side, but moving slightly farther away. And then we have this one too. You have to grab it right where that little blue box is. Otherwise, it will ruin your chart. All right, that is a look at Boeing. Oh, let me just make a note here that we're gonna start the week at 205.82. Last week we were at 194.85. The week before that we were 185.46. You can see just drawing this out where the pattern is going, where the chart is going. And we are still in an upward channel there. And the week before that, we were at 177.95, 173.31. There's 161. I mean, if you mark something long enough, you're going to see where price potentially could head. And obviously, check out the RSI as well. That is a look at this week's Gap and Go trades for May 19th through the 23rd. I hope you have a fantastic trading week.